Hang, Evil Dead Chick here, reminding you to visit the Deadites on Deck Horror Shop for t-shirts, blended teas, candles, tote bags, hats, mouse pads, and more. Poe tells me that some of you aren't horror fans. That's okay. I do custom work. Just let me know what you need using the handy dandy form on the homepage of the shop at deaditesanddeck.com. I can even get you set up with t-shirt graphics and logos for your business, and we'll offer a discount if you want the logos put on multiple items. And best of all, shipping is a flat rate of $6, whether you buy one item or 10. Visit deaditesanddeck.com today.
Watching movies with a dead chick and the gang, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bad. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend.
Howdy, gang, and yes, it is another watch along weekend. Hey, Carlos, An American Werewolf in London is one of my favorite horror movies as well. And, even though a little while ago I did a watch along, it was a popular watch along for An American Werewolf in London. You guys and gals voted it back in for another round. So here I am again to having yet another watch along for An American Werewolf in London. And guys and gals, I apologize, one, for being late, and also for not seeing if I could get a link in case some of you did not own a copy of An American Werewolf in London and wanted to watch along tonight. Now, it's not a requirement that you watch the movie. If you want to just sit there and listen to me talk about, if you want to chime in, some of you know these movies inside and out without even watching them. The dialogue, everything, right? So, but on that note, I would just like to say that, again, for those of you not in the know about how YouTube handles things, YouTube is really picky about people streaming a copyrighted movie. And this is a Universal movie, which I've heard Universal is a tough customer when it comes to you using their property in any capacity, right? So that's why I don't stream it live. And you might say, well, Dana, there's other, you can do it on Patreon. You can do it on different things. Yeah, I can. And I'd be happy to. But for those things, I probably couldn't use StreamYard. And, truth be told, I'm a little lazy. I've gotten used to doing it this way. And it's what seems to work for me. But I'm always willing to try to help you guys and gals out that don't own a copy of the movie. If you want to watch it, I try my best. Now, I did drop the ball, but I'm going to try to get a link for you guys and gals that don't own a copy of An American Werewolf in London here in just a little bit, okay? And then we'll all get queued up and we'll get started with this lovely, lovely film. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It is a lovely film. I love An American Werewolf in London. One of my favorite, not only one of my favorite horror movies, but one of my favorite werewolf movies. A lot of people will say, well, if you were talking about The Howling and American Werewolf in London, as much as I love The Howling and as much as I love Joe Dante as a director, I would still have to say An American Werewolf in London. Oh, that's cool, Carlos. You say you saw it when it first came out back in 1981. Yeah, I wish I could say that. I watched it many years later, probably on VHS, I'm sure, back in the video rental days. Um, and I thought it was just amazing. And I've, you know, not to get into a discussion of John Landis, but whatever your thoughts are on John Landis, I still think he is a fantastic director. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And then we'll move along. Um, but I wanted to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and see if we can't get this movie started. Because I know time is precious for everybody, and you don't want to hear me rambling on and on about stuff. So I hope those of you that were able to join us, at me, Candace, and Chris last night, as we navigated through the life and career of Ozzy Osbourne. And it was one of the, even though, unfortunately Ozzy passed away recently, it was so good to get together with so many people. Of course, I had Candace and Chris live on the stream with me. We had a lot of other people that were coming in the chat and talking about Ozzy, and it was just very, I think it was cathartic for a lot of people that Ozzy's death hit really hard. Um, and so if you haven't checked that out, it's up on the Deadites on Deck channel on YouTube. Feel free to watch it at your leisure. Also, there's a lot of, fun content out there that you can watch on the channel, which leads me to the next thing. Okay. There are a lot of ways that you can support me and the channel. And many of them don't have a thing to do with money. Yeah, you can join my channel. Yeah, you can join my Patreon. Yeah, you can get super chats and super stickers and all that. And I appreciate everybody that is able to do that. But here's the thing, folks. Not everybody's made out of money, and I realize that. And so here are some ways that you can support me in the channel and get me up in the algorithms of YouTube, whatever that they may be. If you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out and you haven't subscribed, don't delay. Please subscribe, because that helps me. It really, really does. My next milestone that I personally want to reach is 1,000 subscribers. And I'm about 32 away from reaching that goal, reaching that milestone for myself. And some people might say, well, gee, Dana, that's not a milestone. But gang, it is for me. I feel like, I've had some people help me out by promoting my stuff. But I think generally I have built this channel from the ground up. And I appreciate every promo that anybody has put out there for me, and all the support and all of that for me throughout the years that I've been doing this. But, sometimes you got to believe in yourself too. A lot of times you got to believe in yourself, because that can make you or break you. And there have been times when I just wanted to hang up the proverbial jock and just call it quits. But then I asked myself, am I enjoying this? And it always came back to, yeah, I'm enjoying it. So if I ever stopped enjoying it, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But while I'm enjoying it, and it's a hell of a ride sometimes, I've enjoyed most every minute of doing this channel, right? Carlos, I wanted to take a break from my blabbing to read what you put on here. You say it came out around this time of year. I saw it at a movie theater that was called the Man Theater They tore it down back in 1999. See, that's so sad about these theaters that they tear down, or they. I know Tom Savini. He went back to a theater that he covered in that first Screen Greats that he did, and they had turned it into a coffee shop, I believe. Um, and you can tell it made him a little sad. So yeah, it's very sad and disheartening to see those classic places that we went to um, being they're not around anymore. Um, and so that makes me cherish, just like drive-ins, that makes me cherish the ones that are still around all that much more. I want to hold them, close. Um, but if you subscribe, nobody has to know about it. Generally, I don't even, and you can be anonymous about. Some people don't want anybody to know what they've subscribed to. They don't even want the owner of the channel knowing they've subscribed. But generally I don't look and see who the new subscribers are. I notice when, new people come on, but generally I don't go and look. So that'll be between you and the walls around you, folks, or whoever you decide to tell. If you decide to tell me you subscribe, that's perfectly fine. But, you can subscribe, and I'm not going to come and try to minister to you. I'm not going to try to sell you candy bars and cookies. You'll just be subscribed, and you can be subscribed forever if you want, or as long as I have this channel. And, if you don't watch me that much, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to try to buy subscribers or anything. I know that some people do that, but I want to do it the old-fashioned way. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you purchase bots or whatever to be subscribers. I'm not going to put anybody down for it, but it's just not my way. I want to do it through blood, sweat, and tears, I guess. Carla, she say, here's a list of the classic movies I saw there: The Shining, Stripes, Goodfellas, The Karate Kid, Q, Evil Speak, Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Police Academy. You saw some really good ones there, Carlos. I mean, you're a lucky guy there. But so you can subscribe. That costs you nothing, but it helps get me up in the algorithms of YouTube. You can hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new stuff that I got coming out, which I try to, keep stuff out pretty frequently. You can hit the like button on any of this stuff that you're really, really enjoying. And you can share with friends and family members my channel. If you think that they might be interested in the content I'm putting out. All right. And so all of those things cost you absolutely nothing. If you share it with a friend or family member and they subscribe or like things or whatever, it also costs them nothing. And those are great ways to support me and the channel, get me up in the algorithms of YouTube, and get me to that 1,000 subscribers milestone, which if that happens, folks, me and Candace, probably on a future episode of Friday Foolish, are going to do some really cool cosplay for you guys and gals. We're going to be, or I'm going to be doing Cheryl from The Evil Dead, and Candace will be doing Mrs. Roper from Three's Company. So if you want to see us do that cosplay, I'm 32 away from that milestone, folks. And I noticed that every time I bring this up, I'll lose one or two, and then I'll gain them back a little bit later. But, that just goes with the territory. Once you get so many subscribers, you won't notice if you lose or gain as many. But anyway, I wanted to remind you guys and gals about the things that I have up for sale. They're not necessarily on the Deadites on Deck shop, but I'm going to tell you about a few of them. And I'm going to put my PayPal email address in the chat in case y'all are interested in picking up some of these items before they go live on the Deadites on Deck horror shop at deaditesondeck.com. And one of those things is the Nighty Nightmares sleep shirts. I know I didn't have the commercial for it today, but you can get the Driller Killer on a Nighty Nightmare sleep shirt. And yes, these are primarily marketed for women, right? Because they're going to come in one color, pink with gray sleeves, or Heather gray sleeves, I should say. And right now you can get the Driller Killer from Slumber Party Massacre on there. You can get Michael Myers, you can get Jason Voorhees, and you can get Freddy Krueger. And there's a special one for you Ozzy fans, an Ozzy Osbourne one. And they say on, or will say on the sleep shirts, whoever it is, if it's Ozzy, it's Ozzy Osbourne Ozzy came to my slumber party. Michael Myers, it says Michael came to my slumber party. Jason came to my slumber party. Freddy came to my slumber party. The Driller Killer came to my slumber party, which I think my sleep shirt actually arrived. I may be able to show y'all what these are going to look like. If you can, Carlos is going to be bored with me showing this stuff. He's going to say, what in the heck? I think it was supposed to come today. I got some stuff that's going to come tomorrow. But, I don't know if it's going to make it here or not. Maybe it didn't come here yet. Okay. Well, apologies, gang. I can't show you the sleep shirts just yet. But hopefully I'll be able, I'm going to make myself one. Probably going to have to make it tomorrow. And it's going to have the Driller Killer. Hey, Gory Tiger. It's going to have the Driller Killer design on it. So the next time I do a stream, I'll be sure to show that to you guys and gals. But if you want to get one of those are $30 a piece plus $6 shipping and handling. And that's a flat rate of $6 shipping. It doesn't matter if you get one sleep shirt or 10 or 5 or whatever. It's still going to be $6. So if you want to send $30 plus $6 shipping and handling, or just shipping. I don't know why I keep saying shipping and handling. I'm thinking old school here. To the Evil Dead Chick Gmail, that's my PayPal email. And tell me, you won't tell me a color because they only come in one color. But if you'll tell me your size, the size that you need, and which design you want, whether you want the Ozzy design, the Driller Killer design, Freddy Krueger design, Jason design, or Michael Myers design. Okay? Because that's the ones I have right now. And you guys, if you want to pick one up for your horror-loving girlfriend or wife, hey, instant gift, right? I also have several shirts that are out, including the Spooky Dog and Sebastian meet Ozzy Osbourne. And I can show y'all that design. Hold on one sec, okay? Well, if I can get my ducks in a row here, which I have major problems. Let's see here. There is an Ozzy one. There's the Spooky Dog meets Ozzy Osbourne. And I also have one for Spooky Dog meets Robert Englund. So those are the two I have right now. And those are $20 a piece, plus a flat rate of $6 shipping. And that doesn't matter if you get one shirt, 5 shirts, 10 shirts, it's still $6 shipping. Okay. And so, and there's a bunch of other designs too that I'm going to be putting on the site here shortly. But if the stuff that I mentioned, if you want to get that, just tell me what color you want. I can do any color now, folks. I can even do black. I can do all the dark colors if you want. So just for the t-shirts, let me know what color you need, what size you need, and which design, whether you, for the spooky dog and Sebastian meet either Ozzy or Robert England, because that's the one that I've got right now. All right. So there was one more thing I wanted to show, and I'll be right back. I promise, gang, we're going to get to the movie before I lose all the people. I do make my own blended teas, and this is in honor of Ozzy Osbourne. And this is Ozzy's Ebony Delight, which is a black tea base with cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves. And I had this on the Tea and Ozzy stream last night, and it was very, very good. Of course, I sweeten my tea a little bit. I'm diabetic, so I can't use the sugar, so I use sweetener, Splenda sweetener. But you can get this plus other blended teas are available on my deaditesondeck.com site for $15 a piece. This will make you about 15 servings, unless you're just a person that likes to dump a whole bunch of tea and steep it. But if you're using like 1 or 2 teaspoons, then this is going to give you around 15 cups of tea. Okay. So you're paying what, $1 a cup. So if you're a tea drinker and you want to try some of my blended teas, I have a whole bunch on the deaditesondeck.com shop. And I also have this one that's not up on the shop yet. But if you want to send $15 plus $6 shipping to my Evil Dead Chick email address or PayPal email, which is again in the chat, you are welcome to do so. And again, that's $6. It doesn't matter if you buy 1 tea or 10 teas or 1 tea and 2 t-shirts and a Nighty Nightmare sleep shirt. It's still only $6. Okay. All right. So I think I've talked about stuff. So, first of all, I'm going to see if I can get a link to the movie for you guys and gals. And also, I may have to get up and like get something to eat or let Darcy in. More than likely, I'm going to have to get Darcy in. Because she goes out and doesn't want to come in like she's supposed to. Let's see. Where. Okay. Well, little short on the places to see it, but if you have Amazon Prime, it's included with Amazon Prime. Movie Sphere is something that's available with Prime Video channels. You can watch it that way. The CW has it. You can rent it for $3.79 from Prime Video, and of course you can buy it. But that's probably not going to be preferable right now. So I'm going to just check one more thing before we get started with this movie, just to be on the safe side. Let's let's see here. So you can go through YouTube and watch with Movie Sphere, but I'm not sure if Movie Sphere is, yeah. Uh, you can get it like a trial run, but make sure because it'll be $4.99 a month after that. So if you don't want to be paying that per month, then you would need to make sure you canceled it. Yeah, that's not the movie without. A lot of these are reviews and stuff like that, and not just the movie by itself. So, all right. So I don't want to hold off on this too much longer. But like I said, definitely if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, plus those other places I mentioned. Now, I'm going to go ahead. You don't know where your DVD is, Gory Tiger? Well, you're still welcome to hang out as long as you want to. Um, like I say, it's not a requirement that you have a way to watch it, because I know a lot of you guys and gals are such huge fans of the movie that you know this movie forwards, backwards, upside down, inside out, whatever. And you could, recite the dialogue verbatim. I'm not that good, but I've seen it many many times. So I'm getting mine. I'm going to get mine queued up, and then I will let you guys and gals as soon as it gets on here. Um, you'll just chill, Gory Tiger. Yeah, that's fine. I want people to feel like they can just come in here and chill out. Um, that's definitely a good way to look at it. It's the weekend. A lot of us aren't working, don't have to work tomorrow. Um, and so, yes, definitely want everybody to just be chill and put your feet up or whatever, have a snack. Um, I just went to the movies earlier today. Steve and I uh, went to see Weapons today. All right. And there will be a Highway to Hell on me and Steve's thoughts before and after Weapons. No spoilers, so you don't have to worry about us giving any key plot points away or any big things that would ruin the movie for you. We don't like to do that. I don't know what makes people want to give spoilers and not tell people, hey, I'm giving spoilers, but maybe they get some kind of a malicious glee. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say, if you've never had these stubborn sodas, the black cherry tarragon is really, really good. Anyway, enough of that. So I am queued up about 40 seconds in on my full moon edition, a Blu-ray of An American Werewolf in London. It's at a Kessler Boy and Bueno production. So for those of you that will be watching along with me tonight, I'll give y'all a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes more to get queued up to the spot. And I'm going to see if I can get Darcy in. I'm going to take myself out of the stream for just a minute or so. And then when I come back, we'll get this lovely movie started. All right, gang, I'm back. Now, I just want to let you guys and gals know, most of you that you know that come into these on a regular basis know that when I'm doing these by myself, I have to get up, I have to run to the restroom. I realize that I haven't ate my dinner yet, so I may have to go away and do that. I don't like to because I kind of like to keep the party going and stuff like that. But unfortunately, when I don't have anybody on here with me, I have to go away sometimes. And I kind of leave y'all to your own devices. If you're watching the movie, you can just continue to watch the movie. If you want to take a break too, that is perfectly fine. Gory Tiger, you say you got a full moon werewolf. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think my brother actually got this edition for me. Now I do have the Arrow 4K, but it doesn't have a Blu-ray with it, and I'm restricted to only watching the Blu-rays back here, which is fine. But otherwise, if I had a way to watch it, the 4K back here, I would do so. But this is a cool set too. Um, there may be still some copies of that out there. I bought that when it came out. But anyway, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and do the countdown. If anybody comes in here later and needs a timestamp, I'll be glad to give that to you. And I'm also, I may regret this one of these days, but I'm going to put the link to join me live on the stream in case anybody wants to tonight. The only prerequisite I have is that you behave yourself, and I think we all know what that means. So I'm not going to reiterate and go through a bunch of things. But also, if I don't know you, if I've never had you live on the stream before, I may be asking some questions. So please forgive me for that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. We're going to do the countdown. We're going to go ahead and get this movie going. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. And we are off and running. Another thing about An American Werewolf in London, yeah, it's a horror movie. Yeah, it's a werewolf movie. But there are some funny parts in this movie. Oh, wait a second, folks. That is not what I wanted. I don't think that's what I wanted, folks. No, sorry. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong thing here. Sorry about that, folks. We'll have to do the countdown again here. I should have known that was not going to work out well. Okay. Let's back up and punt. Okay. So now I am 28 seconds into the movie. Sorry, folks. And it says Polygram Pictures on the screen. I thought that other thing was weird, but All right. So let's do the countdown again, shall we? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. I was on the documentary. Now we're seeing for Jim O'Rourke. But what I was going to say is there are some really funny parts in this film that still to this day, if I am listening to the dialogue, which unfortunately I can't when I'm doing these watch alongs because YouTube is a stickler when it comes to things like that. So, but when I am listening to the dialogue, and you may hear me chuckle, even though I'm not hearing the dialogue, I'm reading the subtitles. You may still hear me chuckle. So we're hearing the song Blue Moon as the beginning credits are rolling. And I just think that David Naughton and Griffin Dunn just amazing in this movie together. You could almost believe that they had been friends for years and years, and the David and Jack characters seem to be just so natural, so natural. And of course, the special makeup effects designed and created by Rick Baker are some of the most amazing werewolf transformation scenes I've ever seen. Now, I know some people will completely pick it apart, but you're talking about, and I'll talk more about this when we get to it, you're talking about something that was shot in bright, harsh light. We didn't usually see that with werewolf movies, right? Usually it was you would catch little glimpses and stuff, and it was in the dark. No, John Landis didn't want to go that route. John Landis wanted everything to be in bright, harsh light, right? So I talked about a few things whenever I did the horror movie rewind, which if you didn't get to see that, it is still up on the channel. And I plan for it to stay unless something were to happen. But if you want to really see some, goofs and some trivia about American Werewolf in London, you could certainly check out my horror movie rewind. Now, this is what I'm talking about, the humor in this movie. So we have a man getting out of his truck, and he's got a bunch of sheep in the back, but he's also got two human passengers riding with the sheep, and that is David and Jack, played by David Naughton and Griffin Dunn. And you can just see now, a lot of the credit, of course, has to go to John Landis for coming up with this very humorous dialogue. But if you had the wrong actors in these roles, it would not have worked. And they can say just upcoming, one of the guys is going to say, those sheep shit on my pie. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so funny. It's dry humor, but it's so funny. And you can see that, Jack's not too happy that they're in England. But there's planning on going different places for 3 months. And Jack says, those sheep shit on my pie. And we're going to hear some dialogue, which, they're talking about Debbie Klein, which is a woman they both know. And David says, Debbie Klein is a mediocre person with a nice body. And he said, there's nothing mediocre about that body. Jack says that. And he says, you're talking about the woman I love. He says, you're talking about a woman you want to fuck. So, just give it a break, basically. So this whole conversation between the two guys, you already feel like you've known them for years. Just this little bit of back and forth dialogue between David and Jack. Who, if you were watching this for the first time around, you might think that these two guys are going to be the main two guys for the duration of the film, right? Well, and of course, gang, there's going to be spoilers. So if you are in here now and you are watching this, keep in mind, this is a movie from 1981. And I've had some people on here with me say, well, screw it. If they ain't seen it and this came out in 1981, then spoil away. basically. But I do like to give you a little, forewarning just in case. I try to be nice that way. So David and Jack um, have come to the Slaughtered Lamb pub. And David's all ready to go in because it's cold and wet and all of that. And Jack's not so sure he wants to go in there. But they end up going in. And these English guys look like they've never seen American guys before. It just, everybody stops and looks at them. And again, gang, if you're in here and you want to voice your opinion on things, I would love to hear them regarding these watch alongs. Now, I stopped for now doing them on Sundays too. So this will be the only watch along for this week, or this weekend, I should say. Now, I want to hear from you guys and gals. If another time other than 7 p.m. Eastern time will work better for you, if you'd like them to be earlier, if you'd like them to be later. I have a friend who always tells me that the later that you have this stuff, the better off you will be, and the more people you will have. Well, I've had them early, I've had them late, I've had them mid-ground, and it just seems to me like certain times of the year, people just, I guess, are too busy doing other things. Or it could be that, it seems like a lot of people have YouTube channels now, and a lot of people are doing content, which is a great thing. But you can't, some people are so loyal to certain channels and certain people, which again is perfectly fine, that they don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of different ones, especially if the times are, pretty close together on everybody's stuff. And I get it. But I do want to make sure that I'm trying to put these things out, especially these live streams, at times when it's better for people. So if you have, a comment you want to make about that, please feel free to put it in the chat. If you don't want to say it right here, you can comment under my videos and stuff. Just be nice. That's all. That's all I ask. So the English guys, one of the English guys is telling a joke about the Alamo. And Jack has to ask what the star on the wall is for. And I always thought this was funny because the guy playing darts says, "You made me miss," when Jack asks about it. He says, "I've never missed that board before." So the woman behind the bar keeps telling the men, you can't let them go. Now, if you're watching this for the first time, I mean, it's a werewolf movie. and you may have a pretty good idea, but you also may be thinking, why is she so adamant you can't let them go? And the other guy, the guy that missed the dartboard, says, keep clear of the moors. And the other guy says, beware the moon, lads. So all this stuff is going to tie into what's going to come up and occur in the next few minutes. So they're going to try to find a place to stay for the night. So they're not back at the pub, back at the slaughtered lamb. They're talking about it's murder, and you know, on first watch, you might be thinking, you know, what's going on here? So it's, of course, as is happens a lot of time in England, it is raining, and poor David and poor Jack are getting soaked to the skin and singing Santa Lucia. Sorry. Now, gang, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I probably will take a restroom break and uh, get me a little something to eat after this first big part that's coming up. Hey, Stephen, you say, hello, Evil Dead Chick. An American Werewolf in London was one of my favorite horrors of all time. Yeah, I think this movie is a lot of people's favorites. And I was talking, I don't know if you were in here earlier, Stephen, but I was talking about a lot of people have asked me and asked other people if you had to choose a favorite between An American Werewolf in London and The Howling, which would you pick? And I always say An American Werewolf in London, even though I love Joe Dante, I love The Howling. But there's just something about American Werewolf in London that just pushes it a little bit above The Howling for me. So now David and Jack are hearing something, and you know, there's a lot of fog, it's raining, or maybe the rain has stopped now. So even though the two guys are frightened, they're still making jokes. And then they discover there's a full moon, and then they say, oops, you know, stick to the road. They were told to stick to the road and beware the moon. Both broke, they broke both of those rules, I guess. So on top of everything else now, they're lost. So whatever the sound is, whatever it is making that sound is circling them. So they think it might just be a regular dog, you know. So because they can hear something growling. So now we saw a flash of something that looked very wolfy, and it's just eviscerating Jack here. And David, instinctively, I mean, he doesn't want to leave his friend, but if that happened, I would probably be running too. I mean, but he turns around, he goes back, and poor Jack is no more. He's just gone. And then the creature attacks David, but doesn't kill David. But the guys from the pub have come and shot this creature. But when David looks over, it's not a creature, it's a man. So this is going to play into things a little bit later. Stephen, you say, yeah, to be lost the way David and Jack were that night, that would be unsettling. Then they hear the werewolf coming their way. Exactly. Yeah. And not knowing where or what this thing is would be unnerving, to say the least. Okay. Gang, I hate to do this so early on, take a restroom break and all that. But two, I've got to get something to eat. I am diabetic, so for those of you that didn't know, and I don't know if y'all notice me. Oh, good. Yawning, which is a symptom a lot of times of my blood sugar going down. So I will be back as soon as I can get back. But if you're watching along with the movie, please continue to watch. And if anybody comes in here and says, hey, where'd Dana go? Y'all can just let them know. You should eat soon too, Stephen. Yeah. If you need to step away and eat, I always tell people this is loose and free form. We can leave for a little bit and come back. But I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, gang, I am back. I brought my soup with me. I heated me up some soup, so hopefully you guys and gals will not mind if I eat as we're watching this movie. So we're at this point we're kind of getting an introduction to Jenny Aguter's character of Alex, um, who is a nurse at the hospital where David has been taken. And here's a scene that I really like. David is pretty much refusing to eat while he's in the hospital. And so Alex is like, Mr. Kessler, you haven't eaten your lunch. And he says, well, I'm not very hungry. And she's like, well, you got to eat something. He said, no, really, thanks. I don't want anything. Yes, Jenny Agutter was a very, very attractive woman. Um, And he does, yes, he does have some horrifying dreams, including the one that's going to be upcoming. I don't believe that it's happened yet. I always like this scene where she's like, "I'll be forced to feed you, Mr. Kessler," and he's like, "You can call me David." Of course, that food does look more appetizing than traditional hospital food to me. So you can see that Alex has worked with kids a lot because she grabs David's nose and pinches his nostrils shut and forces him to open his mouth. You can tell that there is an almost instant attraction between David and Alex here in these, even in these initial scenes of them together. So this is one of those, Stephen, as you pointed out, these horrifying dreams. As you saw, the makeup effects there was just fantastic. Now, some people might say, that's just a jump scare, right? But it's so effective. And even now that I've seen this movie a bunch of times, it still has an effect on me many times when you see him out in the woods. He's in a hospital bed. Alex is coming to the hospital bed. All of a sudden, he opens his eyes and he's got sharp teeth and yellow glowing or eyes that seem to glow and all of that. It is very, very unsettling. Yeah, I mean, Rick Baker did some fantastic work on this film, Stephen. You say, yeah, I love the makeup. It looks scary, but amazing. So, we're going to see an example here of where Landis just does not let up. And this goes back to what Stephen said about the horrifying dreams. So Alex is reading. David wakes up and she says, "Shall I read to you?" And he says, "Okay, yeah." And so she starts to read A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. So this is one of the, this is, this scene coming up. We're seeing the Muppets, seeing Miss Piggy and Kermit, um, on the television. And we're going to soon figure out that this is a dream that David is having. Okay. This is very, very unnerving. The first time I saw this, I was like, whoa, you know, Landis meant business with this, right? So David's father opens the door, and there are Nazi monsters basically at the door. And this is just so horrifying because not only do these Nazi monsters kill David's mom and dad, but they kill his brother and sister. They set the house on fire. They're shooting the house all up. And then David gets his throat slit. And he wakes up, okay? And if you're watching this for the first time, you may think, oh, yeah, that was bad, but, you know, it's all over now. That was a nightmare he's having. So Alex goes over to the window, and there's one of those Nazi monsters again that kills Alex. David wakes up again. And so it's just like, you know, whoa, you know, this just keeps coming. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going and going. And Stephen, you say, I also liked how they showed the Muppet Show with Kermit the Frog. I loved the Muppet Show when I was a kid. I did too. I still, you know, appreciate the Muppet Show. Yes, and you are right. That was a very, very horrifying scene. Now we're going to get into something that, although startling, is funny too. Because there is Jack. And he wants a piece of toast. And the only thing David can say to him is, get the fuck out of here, Jack. And it was said that if you look closely at Griffin Dunn here with the makeup, there's a little piece of skin that's kind of wiggling back and forth in it around his throat area. It's just a little, you know, piece of latex. And they said that Griffin Dunn, as the movie went on and he becomes more and more decayed, that Griffin Dunn started to get depressed looking at himself in the mirror. He got where he just couldn't even look at himself. Oh, yes, I definitely would too, Stephen. You say, I would be so terrified to have a dead friend come back from the dead to tell me I have to die because I'm the last of the werewolves. Yeah. But these initial scenes where Jack comes to David and, you know, he just says some of the funniest things intermixed with, hey, David, we were attacked by a werewolf. We were attacked by a lycanthrope. And he says now he's got to walk the earth in limbo until the werewolf curse is lifted, which means that David has to kill himself so the werewolf bloodline will cease to exist. And he tells him, you'll kill people. And David's like just panicking and, you know, is screaming for a nurse to come. And he says, have you ever talked to a corpse? It's boring. And he also wants David to kill himself before he kills others. But then David starts to cry. And you can tell that, you know, Jack wants him to, you know, take his own life so that he can be out of, you know, this depressed state he's in. But he also still cares for David. David's still his friend. So he tells Alex that his friend Jack was just there. And she's like, "Your dead friend Jack?" So Alex pretty much convinces David that he was dreaming again. As watchers of this movie, we're pretty daggone sure he wasn't dreaming. Yeah, I think so too, Stephen. You say I think David still cared about Jack, even though he was kind of mean to him. Yeah. So, David is going to go home with Alex. He's going to stay in her flat, you know. I think it's funny that in 1981 they say, you know, this stuff's expensive. You know, fast forward to post COVID and how things are just much more inflated. And then we get this scene of Alex and David on the subway, and there's all these punks around there, and David is kind of mocking the punks. And then we're going to have one of these guys turn around and just look at him. It's a nice little apartment, I think. I would like to have an apartment like that. Or, like I said, a flat, as they would say in England. I'm making funny faces at them. Yeah. And then to have that one guy just turn around and be like, "What are you doing, man?" And you know, I can see it all in David's face. There's one thing that he's got on his mind right now. And he has to point out that there's only one bed in this apartment. So she tells him she's had 7 lovers in her life, 3 of which were one night stands. And then she says, "I don't know what I'm trying to say." And she says, "Perhaps she'd like to watch the telly while I take a shower, but we know that's not going to happen, right?" So the next thing we get is Alex and David having a lot of fun in the shower. And then they're going to move to the bed. So for those of you that are fans of this, you're going to, enjoy this. And it's not that this is explicit. I don't think this is explicit at all. These couple of scenes here. You can't blame them really, right? Exactly. So I think these two scenes, one in the shower, one in the bed, are sexy and romantic. You know, there could be a lot worse scenes. You know, it's clear that the two characters are enjoying themselves immensely in these scenes, but um, it's not like a porno, right? Um, so I would much rather see something like this in a movie than a very explicit sexual display. And folks, I will, talk about scenes like this in a movie because it's part of the movie. So I hope that I don't think Steven is uncomfortable, but I hope that nobody else is uncomfortable as I'm, navigating through these various scenes. So we're coming up on another scene shortly here where Jack is going, or where David is going to get another visit from Jack. And there he is. And Jack is starting to decay. His skin is turning colors. It looks sort of greenish here. Oh, well, good, Stephen. I didn't think that I was making you uncomfortable, but I always just like to say, I'm not going to get it on here and be super explicit or anything. But when you've got this happening in front of you, especially, if you guys and gals are watching along with me, um, it, to me, if it's part of the movie, it doesn't, hurt to discuss it. We don't have to go into a deep philosophical or explicit discussion about what we're seeing. I always love that. Hi, David. He's got the little Mickey Mouse figure in Alex's apartment, and then the only thing David says is, "Put that down." So already, gang, we've got less than an hour left in this movie. And it just seems like 44 minutes it just flew by, right? And and that, my friends, is the mark of a great movie. If it is a chore to watch something, then to me that's not a very good movie, right? But when a movie is at least an hour and 30 minutes, in this case it's an hour and 37 minutes, and you don't even notice that the time has went by, that means it's a good damn film, in my opinion. Stephen, you say that Mickey Mouse part was hilarious. I always thought it was hilarious too. Just Jack casually picking it up and kind of bending the hand over like it was waving at David. Hi, David. And yeah, I don't know what the character of David would have been thinking when he did that either. And then Jack has disappeared. Alex shows back up again. Jenny Agutter she's got a girl next door quality to her, but she is very, very attractive. and appealing. Even, me being a straight woman, you know, um, or heterosexual woman, whatever you want to say, I find her easy on the eyes, easy to watch. She's just beautiful in my eyes. And it's not a glamorous thing, it's just the way she holds herself. Um, and, it's obvious that this is a woman that takes care of herself, right? So I just, sometimes, and she's not annoying either. She is not one of these very annoying females in the movie. And I don't think that we would be able to follow her throughout this movie had she been any way other than the way that she is in this. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. Nurse Price looked gorgeous. So we're soon going to see that um, David's doctor at the hospital is going to go to East Proctor, where David and Jack got attacked, because David pretty much told him, you know, have you talked? Has anybody talked to the people at the slaughtered lamb? Have they talked to the townspeople in East Proctor? And the doctor wanted to ease David's mind, and he's just like, David, it's better if you just forget about it. But I don't think the doctor can forget about it. Otherwise, why would he be headed to East Proctor, right? I mean, I don't know how, in miles, I don't know how far away London was from East Proctor. I would love to. I think there are some signs made out there that say the slaughtered lamb. I would love to have one of those too. And Stephen, you say you might know David's doctor would go and do an investigation to slaughtered lamb other than the police. I wonder why the police wouldn't investigate. I think it's probably pretty much for the same reason that police in real life don't go investigate things. I think sometimes um, I don't think it's pure laziness on their part, but I think they think some cases are pretty much cut and dry. And why go continuing to poke around in it? But on the other side of that coin, David's doctor was closer to him than these cops were. And David seemed so sincere when he's telling the doctor, please, somebody should check this out. And the doctor tells the guys at the slaughtered lamb, they're like, why are you here? And he's like, well, the boy was talking about monsters and all this. And so I just thought I'd check it out. But they are not very friendly. They're not very friendly to outsiders all the way around. And this doctor is an outsider to them. Steven, you say, I wonder if that dart player would be allowed back in the pub after talking to the doctor about what was going to happen to David. Probably not. I would suspect not when they found out about it. And you know they would find out about it. Because you see the other guy came outside and he heard the dart player talking. So Alex has to go to work, and she says, if you get anxious or anything, call me at the hospital. So we're soon going to see David's first transformation. And it is a doozy of a transformation. And you're seeing that these two little girls out on the sidewalk have a dog that does not like David. And unfortunately, David has locked him out of Alex's flat. And therefore has to climb in a window. The cats don't like him either. I'll be right back, folks. I'm going to take myself out this time. I've forgotten there's a Minnie Mouse over on the television. Yeah, Stephen, you said it's a good thing he could climb back into her front window in his bare feet than being left outside in the cold all day. And, based on what's going to happen here shortly, probably, there would have been a lot less of a movie left if what had happened inside our apartment happened outside of the apartment. So we're hearing Bad Moon Rising by good old CCR there, or John Fogerty in particular. I do too. I love me some CCR. My dad got me into a lot of bands like that, CCR and the Guess Who, Three Dog Night, bands like that. So we're seeing that David is very anxious here. And based on what's about to happen, um, we can pretty much take that as par for the course. And also because he's been told that he's going to change into a monster. Hi, Christina. Stephen, you say, I'm glad Nurse Price wasn't there with David that night when he turned into a werewolf in their living room. I liked how he said, I didn't mean to call you Meatloaf Jack. Exactly. I love this little kid, too, that says no. He says no all the time. It doesn't matter what you ask him. Now we're hearing Blue Moon. So here is, and this is the first werewolf transformation of David, and what he's drenched in sweat. He's tearing his clothes off, um, and what's about to happen here looks so extremely painful, as a werewolf transformation should be, right? Because your whole, it's almost as if your whole molecular structure of your body is changing. So we're seeing the hand extend and become more like a paw or the foot of a wolf. He's growing more hair. We're seeing the feet extend and change. There it was. I didn't mean to call you a meatloaf, Jack. Steven, you said that slow Blue Moon song in the background was awesome for this scene. Poor David and the pain he went through while he was changing. Yes. Uh, and this gang, you know, whether you can see goofs or errors in this scene or not, this scene is so effective. So effective. Like I said, it happens in bright, harsh light. It's not happening in shadows. You can see the body twisting. Yeah, if you're looking really closely, you can tell that that's, you know, some of that's a rubber body. But for goodness sakes, you know, don't. The thing that I could tell to people is don't be that anal about it. Just look at the overall thing. It's fun to go ahead and point out goofs, but there's a difference between somebody pointing out goofs and somebody seeming to complain. I mean, for 1981 standards alone, this was fantastic. $1.50 for a cab ride. You won't see that nowadays. So we have a couple here just gotten out of a cab and they're going to see, I guess, some friends of theirs. And the character of Harry there is wanting to give their friend a scare. And then they hear something and oh, and the look of the werewolf too is just fantastic. Once David has completed the transformation, the look is fantastic. So I don't know if these were the people that they were planning on seeing, but the wife has told the husband, there's something strange going on out there. So he goes out there to see what's going on. And this is interspliced with, or intercut with, scenes of Alex talking to the doctor. The doctor's made it back to the hospital, and he wanted to know, he's like, Nurse Price, he said, have you seen the Kessler boy since he left the hospital? And she has to admit that yes, she has. Steven, you say, I thought the guy on the subway was the one who went to look for his friends with his glass of wine. I thought his wife sent him out to look further. Ah. So the doctor is very suspicious, that David's, wounds were clean. Before he even came to the hospital, somebody had obviously taken care of him. And the doctor's convinced they were all lying to him. They files have been misplaced and a lot of other things strange have happened. So apparently, several people are going to be attacked on David's first night as a werewolf. Stephen, you said Nurse Price would have been more concerned for David when they tried to call him from the office at the hospital. I was sad when the phone rang and rang in the apartment and no one answered. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So here's the subway guy here. I've never rode on a subway, so I don't know what that experience is like. I've rode on a train. I've been in an airplane. I've been in many cars, but I've never been on a subway. So after this scene, though, the humor is going to come back in to the movie, and we'll get to that here shortly. So I loved what what John Landis did. He would balance the horror and the humor, and he did that perfectly. Um, oh goodness, folks, my Blu-ray seemed to have froze up. I don't know why. Oops. I didn't mean to go that far ahead. I will tell y'all where I am at here whenever we I don't know what happens. Sometimes with this Blu-ray drive I'm using back here. Um, So, okay, I'm back to where the guy got off the subway and he's asking if someone there. It is an hour and 7 minutes, 34 seconds in. Yeah, I'm not quite there yet, Stephen, but I'll catch up to you here just shortly. About, yeah, it's unfortunate to wake up in the zoo. I'll go ahead and read the comment. Although it was unfortunate to wake up naked in the wolf's den at the zoo, I can't help wondering how he got in the cage. I probably would have waited until it got dark before climbing out. Yeah, of course, it was a lot funnier with David getting out during the day. I don't know why this thing keeps trying to pause here. I don't know. It might be a glitch in the disc or something. It's just this part of it apparently. I used this disc before and didn't have any problems with it. Okay, so I'm to the part where he's going to get attacked by the werewolf. And now we're in, we're seeing the lion and the elephant, tigers, monkeys, gorilla there, I think. And there David is. He's just woken up in the, well, it's a wolf's den, I guess, like Stephen said. Yeah, I'm not sure how. I guess maybe in the wolf form he was able to jump up and get inside there somehow. It appears that maybe he, in the werewolf form, he was able to bend that top down. I love monkeys. I'm still seeing him run around holding his hands over his privates. Uh, how humiliating would that be? And I believe that scene there where he meets the old lady. I don't think they told her what was gonna. They told her a man was gonna come up to her, but I don't think they said that. Um, that he was going to be naked. So that expression on her face is natural. Now here comes the kid with the balloon. He says, I'm the famous balloon thief. He said, why would a thief want to give me £2? And he says, come here and I'll explain it to you. And he steals the kid's balloons. And the look on this kid's face. And then he gets the red coat on the bench. And then the kid, I guess, goes to his mom and says, a naked American man just stole my balloons. And she's like, what? I wish I could do the English accent. Yeah, a naked American guy just stole my balloons. All that John Landis humor. So Dr. Hirsch is seeing the article about several people being attacked. And the guy is just looking at David with his red coat, and he said, a lot of weather we've been having lately. And the guy on the other side of him's looking at him very strangely. Yeah, in this fancy lady's coat. And the way he comes into the apartment and he's like, good morning, just like it's normal. Yeah, I mean, she seemed worried and concerned, Stephen, earlier, but yeah, she kind of acted like it was normal too. She said, you said it's a wonder Nurse Price didn't seem a little rattled. He showed up at her apartment like that. Yeah. She does ask him where he got the coat. But again, she just acts like it's completely, normal. And then the doctor asks, is David behaving strangely? No, he's acting like a red blooded American male, is what he's acting like, the truth be told. So the doctor is very concerned. The doctor is probably the most concerned person right now. But see, David doesn't know. All he knows is he woke up naked at the zoo. He doesn't remember what happened when he was in the werewolf state. So when his demeanor is going to change very drastically when he sees newspapers. Well, actually, the cab driver starts talking to him about the murders. And the cab driver's like, haven't you heard? I would too, especially if I couldn't remember what happened the night before. So David goes up to a police officer and he says, "Officer, I killed those people last night." And Alex is trying to get him under control. And he's being very rude and obnoxious to the police officer so that the officer will, put him in jail. I think he thinks that that will protect people from him the next time he turns into a werewolf. Oh, as Stephen, you say, I was always wondering what happened to David's red jacket he wore earlier on. He didn't have it to wear again. Yeah. And guys and gals, this movie is a lot of things. It's a horror movie, it has a little bit of humor, but it also is a tragic love story. And the way that this ends, and we're going to, we're already almost an hour and 20 minutes into the film. Like I said, this movie just literally flies by. Stephen, I hate to step away again this close to the last quarter of the movie, but I'm going to grow. I'm still feeling like my blood sugar might be down a little bit. So I'm going to go grab an ice cream cone and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, guys and gals here. And so now we're seeing David try to kill himself. I don't think he could really kill himself with that, but he really can't do it anyway, as most people would not be able to. So He's seeing Jack once again, looking a little more worse for wear. And this is another, in my opinion, hilarious scene because he's going to meet Jack in the porno theater, where a movie, which any of you that have seen several of John Landis's films, especially his earlier stuff, um, See You Next Wednesday shows up a lot. In this case, See You Next Wednesday is the name of a porno film. Yeah, yeah. That was a very poignant scene where he was talking to his little sister and said goodbye to his family. And even this porno's funny. So this guy just comes in on this couple having sex, and he says, "I told you never to do this kind of thing again." And she says, "I've never seen you before in my life." And he's like, "Oh, sorry," and just leaves. He tells Jack, "You look awful." Well, unfortunately, that's obvious. He says, "Here I sit in a porno theater in Piccadilly Circus talking to a corpse." So not only is Jack there again, but the other people that David killed are also there. Stephen, you said the porno scene was quite funny. Jack did look bad. David didn't know what to say to Jack other than how unpleasant he looked exactly. Yeah, she did. Now the I guess you would call them bums or the homeless guys. Um, they're not too fond of David. That's right, Stephen. One of them looked like they wanted to kill David. So we are getting into the final about 10 minutes of the film. And David is getting ready to turn again. Anybody that comes around him, he tries to get them to go away. So now, in the last few minutes of the film, everything's going to go haywire. That too, to me, is one of the most unique werewolves. Now I know some of it was puppetry, with like Rick Baker and his team with their hand in a wolf's puppet head and stuff like that, but it's just absolutely amazing. And the way, the werewolf comes out there, and then the head of the police chief or whatever he was bouncing off of that car. And speaking of John Landis, we just saw him real quick there, pulling a Hitchcock. And I believe it was John Landis that wanted, instead of the wolfmen of the past that were on two legs, Landis insisted that this werewolf be on four legs. And these last final moments where Alex catches up to David as the wolf, um, that is what I truly mean by a tragic love story. I think I heard that too, Stephen. I'm glad you brought that up. You say you heard Rick Baker was one of the Nazi demons in David's dream in the hospital. So she's pleading with the creature, David, let me help you. And she says she loves him. And there's one split second of recognition before he seems to try to attack Alex, and that's when they shoot him and kill him. And now we see that David, in death, has turned back into the man. And that the crying from Alex seems so real. And then we go back to Blue Moon as the end credits roll. And Stephen, you say, yeah, that was sad how the relationship didn't last. Poor David, poor Nurse Price. I felt bad how she said she loved him and she cries when he goes back to his human self. Yeah, exactly. And there was that split second that I was talking about where it was like he had a recognition. He was still the wolf, but it seemed to be a recognition, and there was a humanness to it inside this beast that David had become. But I hope that you guys and gals, I will stay for the complete credit roll in case anybody wants to jump in here and say anything or add anything. But I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed this look back and this watch along for An American Werewolf in London. I certainly enjoyed watching it again along with you guys and gals. Yeah, I like it too that there was a reprisal of the song Blue Moon. I also want to thank Stephen for hanging out with me in the chat tonight. Kept the chat going and kept us, talking about different things. Gory Tiger, I want to thank you too. I know that you were in here, Christina, as well. And for those of you that maybe didn't feel comfortable in the chat, I thank you for being in here at different points in times and watching along with us, maybe. And I would also like to thank people that maybe did not have time to watch this live, but will watch this on the replay. That is all appreciated. And we're going to let these credits roll. And then at that point in time, if nobody has anything that they would like to add, I will tie things up. Well, thank you, Stephen. You say, I sure did. I enjoyed this too. This was a blast. I loved American Werewolf in London. I'd say my favorite part was when David turned into the werewolf in Nurse Price's apartment. Yeah, that is a really key scene in the film. It definitely is. And so, with that being said, we have officially reached the end of the credits for An American Werewolf in London. We got the little rated R, the restricted screen showing. And so, again, I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed this look back at American Werewolf in London. You wrote your own werewolf story, Stephen. That's awesome. But on that note, I'm going to tie things up with a neat little bow, or at least I'm going to try to. I don't know if I will pop on here and do anything tomorrow. Most likely not. But I'm going to try to get the Highway to Hell up, where Steve and I went to see Weapons today. No spoilers for those of you that have not seen it yet, so you don't have to worry about that. But me and Steve will give our thoughts before and after the film. Some of your friends who read it loved it as much. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing quite as entertaining to me as a really good werewolf story, or a really good vampire story as well. But I think I'm gonna get out of here for the night. Got to do a few things before I get completely settled down for the evening. But again, thank you to everybody who came in here and hung out with me, whether you're watching the movie or not watching the movie. And you saw the trailer for Weapons the other day. Yeah, I'm going to say it on the Highway to Hell, but it was a decent movie. It was worth a watch, or worth several watches maybe. But as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.